resilient, powerful, adaptable. As a woman, you're all of this and more. You're a carer, a mediator, a teacher, a healer, a leader, an entertainer, a logistics manager, a magician, a chauffeur, a counselor, a sleep coach, an investigator, a chef. And it's this unique mix of life skills and work skills that makes you the woman you are. But the juggle is real. You've had to make hard choices. You've had to sacrifice. You've had to endure. If you've left the workplace, we understand. But we recognize all you have to offer. That's why we want you back. NTT is bringing talented women back into the workplace in a variety of flexible roles. Together, we can create a space where you can explore your full potential, from your home to the office and everywhere in between. Join a work culture that values every person and supports you in your multifaceted role. It's time to own your future again. Harness your power. Reimagine your dreams. Join us in our Radical Transformation Initiative to empower working women in a post-COVID world. Apply today.
Hi everybody and welcome to this LinkedIn Live session. Today we're going to be talking about women of the future and getting into a discussion around breaking the bias, which was the theme of this year's International Women's Day. My name is John Lombard. I'm the CEO of NTT Asia Pacific, and I'm really pleased to be joined by three amazing women. They're also on the panel with me today. I have with me Pinky Lalani, CBE. She is the chairman and founder of Women of the Future globally. I've got Adi Anwar, who's a former winner in the science and technology. Hey Adi, section of Women of the Future in Southeast Asia. And of course, Adana Legros, who joins us from Cambodia. Adana is a highly commended former finalist as well for Women of the Future in the arts and culture section. So welcome, ladies. It's a great honor to have you in this LinkedIn Live session today. And we're going to get into and unpack a little bit around Women of the Future. We want to talk about breaking the bias and what it means to us individually and why it's so important. And then a broader discussion maybe around diversity, equity and inclusion, and maybe some advice we can give to people who are joining us all here today. So Pinky, if I can start with you. I know you're in Mumbai. Connection's been a bit of a challenge, but I can see with the deep technology skills that you have, you've got it sorted. But Pinky, thank you for joining. It's been a great honor to get to know you over the past few years. I wonder if you can share with us why you founded Women of the Future.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for hosting this, and a very big thank you to NTT for your amazing support. We need men like yourselves supporting the women, so we're very grateful. I'm very excited to be here today because the Women of the Future is really close to my heart. It's something I set up 16 years ago because I felt that emerging women leaders needed a platform. We needed to recognize them, to give them a profile, to build a community. So we actually set up the Women of the Future to recognize women from many different skill sets and really bring them together. But what drives us and keeps us together, the DNA of everything that Women of the Future does, is about kindness, collaboration, community building. Because I think when we all get together, we can actually change the world. So it's giving them a profile and bringing them into the narrative. That is where we all begin from. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Pinky. And maybe Adana, if I can pass to you, you're somebody that was involved in the arts and culture category. What's it meant to you to be involved with Women of the Future?
I was shortlisted and I didn't win, but I would say that being the woman of the future it's to feel legitimate, respected enough that my voice and my idea are heard at an international level. And for me, it's also a support system where it encourages me to fight for what I believe in and what I think is good for the world. And I would also say that it is empowering women to lead. And I will finish off by saying that it also encourage men and women to be global citizens, because for me it is all of us have a duty towards each other. We need everyone to have an impact on society, on the world, and we can all impact positively our society and community and find complementarity within our environment. So I'm very grateful to be part of this, and I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. Well said. And I guess you would be highly encouraging people to nominate when nominations open. I believe in May of this year. I know there'll be a link associated with this LinkedIn Live session.
Yes.
And Adi, I got the opportunity to meet with you. I know you were the winner of the science and technology category. It was an amazing discussion that we had, and congratulations again to you. But what has it meant for you to be involved with Women of the Future?
Thank you, John. I'm not sure if I deserve the awards because all the other candidates were brilliant with amazing achievements. So I was quite surprised when I won. And one of the reasons because from my experience, not a lot of people can appreciate what I do or my field, the astronomy field, because as I've mentioned to you, John, that people don't see the importance of this field toward the society, and most of the time the outcomes are not tangible. So for example, I discovered hidden black holes. So how does that impact the world or the society? So along the way of my journey, I've tried to advocate for this field and for science in general, to help people see the importance and contribution of this field. So winning this award in a way not only makes me feel appreciated and honored, but also makes me feel that astronomy or science is being appreciated and valued. And I'm quite happy to be able to convince the judges, you one of it, the importance of this field, of fundamental science field. Last year, the award was presented in conjunction with the World Space Week as well, and the theme was Women in Space, to celebrate the accomplishments and contribution of women to the space sector. So the award makes me feel even more special, and I believe the award has and will provide me with a good platform to advocate for women in science, especially in the Southeast Asia region, and I'm quite excited to be contributing to that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I still remember the discussion where you're explaining to me that a lot of the study of black holes, for example, a lot of what we've learned through that, we're actually using in everyday technologies that we take for granted today. So it was really an amazing conversation. So it was a real privilege to be part of that process. A lot of what we're talking about sort of leans into this broader topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as I said at the start, this year's International Women's Day was all around breaking the bias. That was the hashtag. When I think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, for me, I guess there's a couple of reasons that I've really got behind the topic more generally. One of them is that if you think about, men and women in society, we really, as a business, as NTT, need to reflect the societies that we work in. And those societies are made up of men and women, of people from different races, ethnicities, religions, backgrounds. And that to me is just fundamental to what we should do in society broadly. We should always reflect and embrace that diversity. And also, diversity for me is strength. Every study in the world says the more diverse an organization or a culture is, just the better they perform. The happier the people are, the more engaged, the happier the customers are, etc. And I was really interested just to get your views on why breaking the bias is important for each of you. And maybe, Pinky, I can hand back to you and just get your views on why that's important.
Thank you, John. I think breaking the bias is so very important because the niche on which I set up my first awards, the Asian Women of Achievement Awards, was to actually break the stereotypes. And stereotyping can be so toxic. And I think really breaking the bias is absolutely fundamental for us all to do if we want women to achieve. It was quite disheartening during the pandemic we found that, at least the work we did and the research we did, we found when men and women were both working at home, if there was a meeting, it was the man who said his meeting was more important, and the woman would have to give up her meeting. So we found women were really more handicapped during the pandemic, and part of that is about the biases and stereotypes that exist. So I think we have to work on um, changing the mental health and also the setup, the way people view other, other communities, other people. And so I think this subject is going to be pivotal for us to help women to achieve. And we need the women to achieve in order to have a world that really succeeds. And, going back to you, Addie, I actually hearing about what you do, it's actually breaking every stereotype. You don't expect a woman with a hijab talking about black holes. And that's why it's so important we do keep speaking.
Thank you. Thank you. Adi, what would you like to add to the topic?
All right. So I think it's very important to create a very positive, fair, inclusive, and diverse environment in the workplace. I'm just going to share my first-hand personal experience on this issue. I believe I had a baby a few years ago, and after coming back from maternity leave, 3 months maternity leave, a few months after that, I got a letter of warning saying I did not perform very well that year. Of course, I was quite upset. Of course, I did not perform very well. I just had a baby. But that makes me further realize the disadvantage and the lack of support for motherhood or just young family. So I really want to try to advocate for that as well. And it's important so that everyone feel that they are valued and respected regardless of their background. And in terms of personal lives, I think it's also important to have a sort of balance in responsibility in our personal lives, especially if we're married with kids as well, and if the wife is working as well, so that the burden of running the house does not fall on one of the parent. Most of the time, it's the wife in most cases. I mean, my husband is brilliant, but I can't help but sometimes to think that I have to put more effort. But I think that is just the we have been living in this culture, right? So that is just in my mind. Yeah. So I think it's important to break that culture, break that bias. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great example. The one about getting the performance review because you had a baby. Obviously, it makes me cringe when I hear that, but really wanted to thank you for sharing. I think it's so important for people to hear that. Adana, maybe you'd like to add something from your perspective as well. We'd love to hear that.
Thank you. For me, breaking the bias is really, it's an act of resistance. I feel that conforming is not always a solution. And it's always to get out of our comfortable zone and to express, to rethink, to reinvent what we think is better. And it's all part of the evolution, right? And I feel like as a Cambodian, half Cambodian, in Cambodia, being in art and culture, doing art, being a painter in Cambodia, it's hard. And I'm glad that we're a few women in Cambodia that really fight to be respected. And it's sad because Cambodia used to be such a big civilization where art was so important. And I'm glad we're rebuilding everything. And so I think we have to keep on just evolving and adapting to our situation. If a current system is no longer efficient, we have to invent, rebuild a new one. And that's why for me, it is very important to break the bias. And I'm so glad that I'm doing so and being supported to do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's a lot of people watching here today, and a lot of these themes that we're talking about are not new. A lot of people have been talking about these for quite a long time. So some people might be sitting here watching, thinking, "That's great, but what can I do? What advice can you all give me to help me create an environment that really supports diversity, equity, and inclusion?" I just wondered if I could ask everyone for some advice that you could give. I'm happy to give some advice from my perspective, but I think we'll start. Maybe Adi, we'll go with you first. If you'd like to start, any advice that you can share to the viewers today?
I think maybe we can appreciate people based on their talent and performance, regardless of their backgrounds. Create an open mind environment, and I think one of the most important thing is to promote work life balance, as I I have experienced myself, it can be challenging to raise a family and also to achieve your career goals. So maybe we can give a bit more of flexibility in terms of working hours, or now that we are so used in working remotely, so maybe we can give an option for parents or young families to work fully or part-time from home, so that gives a little bit of flexibility for them as well.
Thank you so much. Adana, advice you could give to the viewers on creating that culture?
I would say that we are part of the culture, so each one of us has the power to influence and impact our society. And my favorite author, he's a French monk called Mathieu Ricard, and he says the ultimate reason to meditate is to transform ourselves, so we can better transform our society. So for me, it starts from oneself. If you practice the art of empathy, practice compassion, and find the balance in your life, you will have an impact on your life, and you will influence other people. And I would say that we can transform our society, but we have always to keep preserve our history and improve the vision of our society, and keeping understand that there's cultural diversity.
And I love what you said before. You said, I think it was an act of resistance. This is an act of resistance. So, and I think it's right. I think it's not about conforming. It's about pushing back. And
Yeah.
the only way we can get true change is by actually saying, no, we need to do it differently. Pinky, I'd love to get your perspective there as well on
Thank you
advice
so
that you would give.
That's great. I really enjoyed hearing the other two women who said amazing, amazing things. I was thinking there are three things really, and so we have to always be curious. So we have to learn about what other people are thinking, because we can't change things unless we know what's going on. So curiosity and learning and hearing is very important. Being courageous is important too, following what you really believe. I think when you lead with the heart, you go to places that are incredible, and you can really follow through. And the last thing is about being kind, and kindness takes in that compassion, that empathy, because it's only when we lead with kindness that we can actually change what's happening in the world.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree with everything that's been said. My own experience here is, it takes small steps to get to the top of the mountain. And I think often people sort of sit back and wait to see what the organization is doing or what others are doing to drive the topic around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think if my advice is, you've really got to make it your own. You've got to get involved yourself. And if everybody just takes that small step, if everybody listening here today decides that, hey, maybe I can't influence this, but I can do that, then we're going to see that shift. And it really takes all of us, I think, to be involved. So for me, it's make it your own and make it really deeply personal. Just pick something that you love to do, whether it's in science or art, or whatever it is, and then get involved. So I really love the comments that you all made. I did want to put in a plug. I know the video at the start, we talked about what NTT is doing. So what we're doing at NTT is we recognize that for many women, often if they go away and maybe they step away and have a family or take some time out of work, that gap in your CV, in the CV can create issues. So we're wanting to employ at least 200 women globally in a variety of sort of flexible roles in our organization and really get people back into the workforce. So we're really prioritizing people that maybe have that gap in their career, and maybe that's created a bias in recruiters' minds or a potential employer's mind. So we will be recruiting. The target is at least 200. Hopefully we do a lot more. So we will make sure there's a link in the LinkedIn live session here with the details of that as well. So just a closing, I just wanted to thank again Pinky for your amazing leadership with Women of the Future. We're really proud as NTT to be associated again with the awards here in Southeast Asia. We get to, we're really hoping to see another cohort of really amazing young women part of the program. I think nominations will open in May, so please keep a lookout for those and really nominate women who are sort of 35 and under. I think is the sort of the cohort. So really proud to be part of that. Adana and Adi, thank you so much. I think what you're able to share today comes from the heart and experience. And I always learn so much being part of these conversations. So I really appreciate your contribution today as well. And with that, I think we're going to come to an end. Thank you all so much. And if I can cue the video, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Resilient, powerful, adaptable. As a woman, you're all of this and more. You're a carer, a mediator, a teacher, a healer, a leader, an entertainer, a logistics manager, a magician, a chauffeur, a counselor, a sleep coach, an investigator, a chef. And it's this unique mix of life skills and work skills that makes you the woman you are. But the juggle is real. You've had to make hard choices. You've had to sacrifice. You've had to endure. If you've left the workplace, we understand. But we recognize all you have to offer. That's why we want you back. NTT is bringing talented women back into the workplace in a variety of flexible roles. Together, we can create a space where you can explore your full potential, from your home to the office and everywhere in between. Join a work culture that values every person and supports you in your multifaceted role. It's time to own your future again. Harness your power. Reimagine your dreams. Join us in our Radical Transformation Initiative to empower working women in a post-COVID world. Apply today.